I wish you could meet my girlfriend, but you can't because she is in Canada. I love her, I miss her, I can't wait to kiss her, so soon I'll be off to Alberta. I mean Vancouver. Her name is Alberta. She lives in. She's my girlfriend, my wonderful girlfriend. Yes, I have a girlfriend who lives in Canada.
When life hands you lemons, you gotta make lemonade. Unless you don't have water or sugar, well, then you know what? You eat the whole lemon. Eat that whole lemon, rind and all. Rinds make you sick? Okay, well then you know what? Ferdinand Magellan. You know Ferdinand Magellan? Who was a painter? He wasn't a painter? Okay, Vincent van Gogh. He's a painter, right? Yeah, he's a painter. Someone once said to him, Vincent, you're the world's greatest painter. How are you the world's greatest painter? You only have one ear. So Vincent turned around, he looked at them and he said, what? You know what I'm saying? Dream big!
In the lust of my strength, I cursed God. But he paid no attention to me. I might as well have cursed the stars. In my last illness, I was in agony, but resolute. And I cursed God for my suffering.
Did you hear what I just said to you?
What are you trying to say? Ned is your son. Jerry was away for 2 months.
Did he write to you while he was away for 2 months?
Of course he did, and I wrote to him.
And did you tell him that Ned had been conceived?
Not by letter.
And was he happy to know that I was to be a father? You know, I've always been quite fond of Jerry. In fact, I've always liked Jerry more than I've liked you. Maybe I should have had an affair with him myself.
Classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. Hosted by Steve Ludwig and Ludwig. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture.
Thank you, Joe Mandica, Australia's gift to the world of pop music. Joe is the writer, producer, and performer of our classic pop culture theme song, and Joe is such a dear, true friend of the show. And speaking of true friends of the show, how are you doing, everybody? This is your pal and fellow fan of pop culture, Steve Ludwig, welcoming you to another edition of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture, right here at PlanetLudwig.com. Congratulations, you have landed safely and peacefully at Planet Ludwig. And here we are, show number 167, and our guest is actor, singer, teacher, and certainly friend, Mr. Robert Bannon. Robert is a veteran of over 20 appearances on Saturday Night Live, and he's going to take us behind the scenes of a full Saturday of the broadcast. And as you saw by his acting reel at the opening, his talent is multifaceted. His rise to stardom is such an inspiration, and he'll share that story with us. Plus, he has just released the #1 album on Amazon, Unfinished Business. We'll be hearing some cuts from the album and seeing some neat videos as well. But none of that happens unless I shut up right now and present my conversation with the ultra cool Robert Bannon. And the man of the hour, Mr. Robert Bannon.
Mr. Steve Ludwig, I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, I'll tell you, singer, actor, teacher, and friend.
Yeah, And
We've known each
absolutely.
other for years. Yeah, a lot of my listeners know that I am a retired teacher. You and I taught in the great North Bergen school system. You still do.
Well, I still do. This is my 12th year, but I remember meeting you when I was a permanent sub at Robert Fulton School in North Bergen. And and then I would see you occasionally at either conventions or music events. And I'm a guy with that. You're a man of my own heart, I said before, because I love pop culture and I love when you started this show. You've been doing this show and radio and podcasts and everything before it became like the COVID thing. You kind of you invented this medium, Steve. This is you.
I don't know about the invention, but I certainly did it before COVID anyway.
Yeah.
And I want to tell everybody that's watching that when Robert and I would also see each other, usually at teachers' party, getting a drink at the bar. And that's when you'd say, so who's on the show this week? So I appreciate all your backing and good wishes.
Of course, but you've had some amazing guests, some really incredibly talented people, and I've loved watching through the years and seeing your journey and how you do all this. So it's an honor to be here, for sure.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and you are certainly one of the most talented guests we've had. And I'm so happy that you're on for a number of reasons. First of all, you're a great guy. I love you.
Thank you. Back at you.
Right back here, the brand new.
There it is. Look, we're like twins.
Look at this. Look at tap CDs. Robert Bannon.
It's like, remember this? Like, I don't know what people do with these now. Put them as a drink coaster? I don't know what people do.
I'll tell you what. Let's start a movement, Robert. When people order this on Amazon, buy the CD, buy that physical copy, man. I used to love albums. I'm certainly much older than you are, but I used to love the albums, which are making a comeback. Yes. And I love CDs. I mean, buy the CDs. I know people download songs, but the artist offers so much more on the physical copy too. I mean, it's an extension of your
that's
art.
What I love about it, is because like you get to write liner notes and thank yous. And as a kid, I used to go to Sam Goody or Coconuts every Tuesday. Now music comes out on Friday, but Tuesdays when they used to come out and buy a new album. And I used to like to read the liner notes because I wanted to know who's the producer, who are they thanking, what are they doing, what is a record label. Like, I've been a music nerd since I was a kid. So the business side of music as much as singing and performing. So I love the actual physical. I mean, I don't have a CD player in my car anymore, and I love that every song in the world is on my phone. Like, that's amazing, because in the drop of a hat, I could think of something and listen to it. But I like to touch it, read it, feel it. I like that. There's something to that.
Me too, exactly. And everybody, as you see, it's a nice fold out.
Yeah, it's got a whole. We had a whole little.
Let me straighten your CD, Robert.
It's the same thing. You're an author, and I've read your work. It's the same thing with a physical book. There's something about turning the pages. There's something about touching the CD and playing it. So, absolutely. Thank you.
So by all means, please, everyone, you will love Robert even more after you hear this CD. And as a matter of fact, now, I said we used to see each other at a bar but sure. I don't drink any longer. I don't drink alcohol. However, I never lost my taste for beer. And when a great occasion comes up, I like to have a non-alcoholic beer. So if I may,
cheers.
Already,
please.
I'd like to toast you. Click on this fantastic unfinished business CD.
Thank you. Back at you.
And
thank you, friend.
Robert, I'll tell you, man, it is just top to bottom. It is it's an escape. It's a great journey. And before we hear some of the music from it, how did you do it during COVID?
Well, you see, I called it unfinished business because I was a student of Juilliard prep, and I was really into singing and musical theater as a child. And I got into singing about 10 or 11 years old. And then I got really sick in high school, and I had meningitis caused by chronic Lyme disease, and I didn't sing for 4 years. And then at 18 years old—
Stop with the excuses.
I know, for real. At 18 years old, I went on an audition for Rent on Broadway. I was called in. I botched the audition. I botched the lyrics. And I just said to myself, like, after everything, I'm done. I'm over. I'm a has-been. I've never even started. And I went to school and became a teacher. And I got my, double master's and everything. And then it wasn't until a change of life and a whole different journey, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. And then I decided to get back to it. So that's why it's called Unfinished Business, because it felt like for me, it was something that for a long time I was scared to do. And I know for you as well, I'm not trying to speak for you, like you have transitioned and made many different avenues, and you write and you host and you do everything aside from teaching. So I kind of had that same moment where I was like, I love my students and I love the job, and I especially love the paycheck during COVID because I know so many people who didn't work. But I also know that there's got to be a life after 3 o'clock that makes me happy. So this has become my project. I did a show in New York the day before Thanksgiving of 2019, and we came up with the idea to do a single. And then in my crazy head, I just thought, well, if you're going to do one song, you might as well do a whole album.
Yeah.
And the weekend that we were supposed to go in the studio and record it was the weekend that everything shut down. And the engineer at the studio was the first person I heard of that got COVID. So we had a moment where me and Jimmy Merchant, who plays some of the horns on it, and the musicians, I was like, we paid for these arrangements. We paid for the rights to use these songs. What are we going to do? And I thought it was going to be a couple of weeks or months, like we all did. And then I said, I saved all this money. I set aside this time.
Yeah.
Can we do it from home? And everyone on this album is a live musician. There's no computers, there's no synthesizers. Every string, horn, every rhythm section, everything is live musicians from home, all sent to the studio and puzzle pieced together, all virtually. We never recorded one thing together. So it took a long time because it was literally piece by piece, musician by musician. But what ended up happening is 11 songs that have all live musicians that were all recorded from home. But I hope you can't even tell. It sounds like everyone's in the room together.
You know, you recorded the album with today's methods, but it is so traditionally classic. You cannot tell.
Thank you.
You absolutely cannot tell.
Well, I wanted something that was clean, and I wanted something that was easy to listen to from the beginning to the end. And there is a journey. I mean, you can't tell it from just the random songs, but there is a story that I tried to tell, and I tried to make it a piece where it has highs and lows, and it's loud and it's soft, and it gives a kind of, it transitions as well as I could make it.
Yeah, you know, that brings up a good point. Track listing is important to you, isn't it?
It is. It sure was.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing with building a show. My favorite thing to do as an artist is to build a live show, because I feel like concerts and performances, especially my kind of show, which is me talking and telling a story, but singing as well. Anything that, and you've seen, you're a student of music and have seen plenty of shows and whatever. There's always in shows, you don't want it to drag, and you don't want it to be boring, and you don't want it to be too much. So it's trying the checks and balances of how to make it transition so that the audience can really go on a journey with you. It's the same thing when I listened to this. We probably came up with like 3 or 4 different versions of the track listing. There was a song we did that didn't make the final cut because it just couldn't fit into the song. So maybe we'll put it out, later this year. But it was really a interesting process to try to get it to feel that 55 minutes or whatever that the whole album is, try to transition it so that it takes you on a journey.
Well, listen, I do want to go through the whole playlist
Sure.
with our listeners, but first, can we check out, excuse me, this beautifully moving video, I Think That He Knew, which is on the album, of course.
Sure.
What do you think? Should we watch it first, or do you want to set it up first, then?
I could set it up. It's the only original song on the album.
Okay. Yeah.
It is not written, but it's written by Matt Gold and Griffin Matthews. They're musical theater playwrights that are friends of mine who are the reason I got back to singing. I saw them do their show, and I reached out to them and said, I wish I could do what you do. And then a week later, they had me at their house, and we started doing voice lessons and building my show called Unfinished Business, which then became the album. And when I heard them sing this song at a workshop, I was moved because I think it's a beautiful song about family and love. Aside from it being, a song that I put out for Pride or an LGBT plus song, it's what moved me the most was a story about a dad and a son. And we put a video together that we recorded in my hometown of Richfield Park. It's all my friends in it. The director's a friend of mine from acting school. And I hope it touches you like it touched, me and my family. So it's called I Think He Knew, and it's the original cut on the album.
I loved a man who seemed
By day he ran the bank in town, by night he coached baseball. He volunteered his hours while I was in right field picking flowers. My dad never minded at all. I think that he knew me. I think that he knew me long ago. And when you know, you either fight or let it go. He let it go. My dad let me dress up for Halloween. He marched me into my first grade class, dressed as half witch, dressed as half queen. He painted me green. He painted my whole face green. He didn't care. I wore my mother's heels, her favorite pair. I think that he knew me. I think that he knew me long ago. And when you love your son, you fight him or let him grow. He let me grow. Time goes on, we grow up, we live separate lives. We lose touch, don't talk as much, my dad and I, my dad and I. Time goes on, we hold back, we don't see eye to eye. We lose touch, don't talk as much, my dad and I. Flew back home to Pittsburgh from New York. My dad drove out to pick me up from the airport. His eyes were filled with tears he'd been holding back for all these years. And he asked me if it was something he had done. Was I born this way? Had I ever been touched by anyone? Did they harm his little boy? Did they rob me of my joy? And he asked me if it was something he had done. No, nobody hurt me in the night. No, nobody forced me in that way. No, nobody broke my spirit, Dad. No one made me gay. This is who I am. It was something that you did. You did it from the time I was a little kid. You loved me. You taught me. You let me pick the flowers in right field. You held me, compelled me to find someone who respects my mother. Find someone unlike any other. Find a man who loves me just for me. I went and found someone like my dad who set me free. I wanna be just like my dad. I wanna be handsome and sweet. I wanna love on my son the way my dad loved on me.
Now, Robert, moving. You know,
Thank you.
that's your story.
It is.
I mean, you heard it.
It is my story. I related to the story so much. It took me a long, actually teaching, the coming out journey for me. I had a very odd circumstance. I told you I was really sick. I met someone at 16. We spent 16 years together. I adore her to pieces. We were married. When our marriage ended, I mean, we worked together. She's my best friend and I love her. But she's very supportive of this journey and story as well. Everyone has their own story and everyone has their own journey. And it was students who came out to me, who had the comfortability to come out to me and say, my parents don't support me, what do I do? Or I don't know what to do. That made me really feel like I couldn't be afraid to put the song out or tell my own version of the story, because somebody, I hope, needs to hear it. And ever since that came out, June 2nd, on a daily basis, a parent, a child, a brother, a sister, a friend has reached out to me and said that the song moved them. So that is like the greatest gift. It humbles me incredibly that I could be a voice for that cause, for
Once
sure.
again, to you, Robert, once
Thank
again,
you. No.
I'll tell you, thank goodness you're there for, especially the kids. How many years ago did you come out?
I was married and we were together till I was 32. And then I spent almost 3 years by myself with lots of therapy. Thank God for teacher insurance. and I came out, and the song, I came out to my immediate family probably 3 years ago. So I was much older and later in my life. I'm 37. I was 33, 34 when I came out.
You're a baby.
Thank God bless you, Steve. You are. It doesn't always feel like that.
You're a child.
I came, and my extended family and my friends, I sang the song in a show that I did on my dad's birthday. I sang I Think He Knew, never set it up, never sung it, sung the song. The song ended, and
What courage.
everyone was silent. And then my dad yelled, "I love you, son." And then people just clapped and stood. It really, I couldn't be who I
have
am.
goosebumps.
It was a moment, and that's thanks to my family. You know, my parents have been supportive, and my brother, with all the wild roller coaster that I've put them on, for sure. So I'm grateful to be able to be the person to sing that song, and I really thank the writers for letting me introduce it to people.
I'm almost at a loss for words, because it's so brave, it's so courageous.
Thank you.
I don't know, it must have been hell leading up to that, or no?
Yes,
you know
it
what I
was.
mean?
I was actually doing Rent, and a lot of people ask me, "Did you know? Was your marriage fake?" Like all these questions. No, I when I was 13 to 18, I was homeschooled, and those are the years that people really discover who they are. And I was in Johns Hopkins back and forth in Baltimore getting treatment for this meningitis caused by Lyme disease and intravenous treatment. So I wasn't dating. I wasn't in the gym locker room. I wasn't at the lunch table. I had a different experience. And then at 16, I met her, and I loved her, and she's beautiful and wonderful. And I thought, this is what you do. You meet someone, you stay with them, and you get married. And I did. And then we got divorced. It really was a journey of figuring out who I really am. It's why I sung. It's why I went to acting school. It's why I came out. It's why I changed my life, because it felt like a second chance for me. Hence, I know it's corny, but the unfinished business moniker really took on a lot of meanings for me, because I felt like there was a lot of things I needed to learn about myself. So I was doing Rent when I came out. The musical, and I was playing Roger, and I was coming out at the same time. And it was really hard, because it was one of the most scary times to tell people. And a lot of people didn't understand my personal journey, meaning, how could you spend so much time with somebody and then change? But, life and people's personal journey, especially when it comes to their sexuality, is various for lots of people. So it's not just black and white and one way or the other. So it was definitely a transition, and it was not easy at all. But when you come out the other side, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be either. So.
Right. I've heard that so many times about so many different things in life, that, the buildup is many times more than the actual event. Not that
Absolutely.
It wasn't, I'm sure it's a weight off your shoulders that I'm Robert Bannon.
Yeah, this is it.
And I love you all for accepting me. Yeah,
absolutely. And for so many years and months and all this time, there was such an anxiety about the moment, like people weren't going to accept you, or you were going to lose friendships. And there are friends that I have lost, and there are people that are not a part of my life anymore. But I get to live authentically as who I am, and I have nothing left really to hide. I don't know what else to say.
Good. Oh,
that's
goodness. It. So open, so free. God bless you, Robert.
Yeah,
really.
No, thank you.
Really.
It's people like you and people that watch that really give me the courage to keep going.
But how great could it be? You still have to get up for work in the morning.
Yes, I do. I do, sadly.
Life does go on.
Sadly, yes, true. So true.
Now, speaking of great transitions, I'm the king of transitions. You mentioned it's not a black and white thing. Well, speaking of black and white, oh boy, this is horrible.
No, I get it.
First of all, black and white versus color, even in motion pictures, Robert, what do you prefer? Or is it, of the moment? Does it matter? You know what I mean? Because black and white is so cool. And other times color is. So what are your thoughts?
Well, the picture was originally taken in color and was taken actually a little over 2 years ago. And I almost didn't want to use it because I feel like it's a beautiful picture, but A, I don't know if it looks like me. B, it's so serious. Like, and I'm not that serious of a guy, but I looked at the picture of it, and I sent it to the person who Mary Beth Kearns, who designed this cover art, and I said to her, I want it in black and white because it feels black and white to me is dramatic, and I love the dramatic and the not that the album is a Great American Songbook album that is reminiscent. I heard someone sing last night like a Great American Songbooks album, and it's very much like the 40s and the 50s, and it's not that kind of album. It's not all these jazz standards only that are from a different. It's from Johnny Mercer to Whitney to everything. But when I thought about it, I said classic. I wanted it to have a classic sound. I didn't want it to be like a fad sound. I didn't want it to use synthesizers and other instruments that in a couple of years will sound outdated. So when I thought about the look of it, I wanted it to be as clean and as timeless as I could possibly make it. So I think that black and white photography adds a certain nostalgia, but also I think it's a timeless look. I think black and white noir looking photos are very they're fun, and they transform you and transfix you to a different time. So that was my idea about it.
It's a very, very cool cover. Putting up the collar, you're getting down. Even though
yes,
it's unfinished business, you got some business.
We got work to do. That's right.
Yeah. Now, when you were growing up, was a lot of music played in your household?
Yes, and my family can't sing for nothing.
Well, you're carrying the load.
But but my family, from my grandparents to my parents, I grew up with the stereos that were like in sections, like they had the cassette tape, and then on top of that was CD, like all of that. And my dad would put the big headphones on me, and he's my parents are in their 60s. They love the music. My dad was more of like a folk, kind of like Jim Croce. Like we went on road trips and listened to Harry Chapin's greatest hits over and over and over and over again. Like he was a folk guy, but he loved the horns like Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire. And as a kid, I remember.
Robert, you put an extra over in there over and over and over again. I get the feeling it may have worn on you a little bit. As great as Croce and Chapin are.
I love Jim Croce, and Harry Chapin. I've heard that story, and he's great. The Taxi is amazing. He's a songwriter. He's a storyteller. We listen to it on repeat forever.
Over and over and over. And what's funny is,
I appreciate it more now than I did when I was 10, 11, and 12 years old. At that age, but now when I hear it, it's nostalgic to me, and it reminds me of my parents, and they're amazing artists. My mom was a hippie, she liked, and so like she was more into the more fun, meaning like the Doors and the Beatles and all of that stuff. And she loved, I grew up, she'd make breakfast to Carly Simon and stuff in the morning. So there was always music playing, but I was the cheese ball. I was 12. I got a karaoke machine, and the karaoke machine had a demo cassette tape in it. And one of the songs on it was a karaoke version of Mandy. And I was like, this is what I want to sing. Because Barry, aside from obvious, he has my range, but he's dramatic. So I think the art of arrangements are lost. And I was just talking to some music friends. Now, when you listen to the radio, it's a pop song, and they may be fun, but when you listen to Sinatra, and he would say, well, this is arranged by Nelson Riddle, or this is like that is a lost art that people don't use. And I, at a young age, appreciated Manilow, as corny as he was, because he makes big arrangements. The arrangements, the musicality, everything is key changes and modulations and big endings. And I love the showmanship to that kind of style of music. So I begged my parents at 12 years old, please, can we see Manilow at Radio City Music Hall? Please, I want to go see him so bad. And we sat in the third balcony, and I just was transfixed by his showmanship. So it really was, and I made them see a lot of musical theater, and I studied Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. and talking about over and over and over. My grandmother had a VHS tape of Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. and Liza Minnelli did a pay-per-view in the 80s from Detroit. And I must have studied it like a hawk. Like I wanted to know everything that they did. I just wanted to be a part of the business of show so badly that I just watched the people I thought were the best.
Mm-hmm. My mom, rest her soul, she passed in 2004, but I guess it was back in the 60s. And she and her girlfriends went to see Oliver on Broadway.
Okay.
Lionel Bart's production. And she bought the soundtrack album at the theater, brought it home. And when I heard Oliver, it was just so cool and like to tell a story in music. And that's where I got my love of Broadway and musical theater. And my mom here's what we used to, Robert, not to take over your time.
No, please.
Seconds, but Oliver was the main album. Johnny Mathis, my mom, and Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Those were the three main albums I would hear all the time growing up. And I loved them. And I can't tell you how excited I was when I saw your playlist and you cover This Guy's in Love with You. First of all, what made you choose that? And it has a special place in my heart, but what made you choose that song?
Well, you know, The Look of Love was one of the first songs that we put on it. If I can tell you it's a little bit of a longer story, but it will make sense in the end. I was working with a music producer that was introduced to me that we ended up parting ways when COVID started, because I come from a different business like you. Like I'm in teaching, and in teaching, it's a different community. Like you get paid an amount that's on a piece of paper that everyone gets paid the same in a contract. I didn't understand the business side of the dealing sometimes with people. So this other person wanted a percentage and a stake that I didn't feel was fair of the original idea. So we parted ways, and he had said to me, I think you should do a cover of The Look of Love, because it's a song that everyone knows, but it's covered, but we could do something different and jazzy with it. And I said, sure, because Burt Bacharach and those songs, and you know, growing up, like my mom loved Dionne Warwick, and she made these songs sound so easy to sing, and they're not, because Burt Bacharach's time signatures and his key changes and the tempos, they change all over the place. I was listening to Promises yesterday and her singing it, and it's like a roller coaster of a song, and she just does it like she's just singing Happy Birthday. So we did Look of Love, and then Jimmy Merchant, who plays the horns on the album and helped produce this, he said to me, I want to arrange a song for the album. And we were done. We had 10 songs, and I was like, oh, okay, we'll add it. We'll just get my checkbook, whatever. We'll just do another song. And he said to me, I want to do This Guy's in Love. And originally, I'm going to be honest, I listened to it and I was like, what can I tell in this story that hasn't already been told? Like, it's a beautiful song that I felt, what else can be done to it? Like Herb Alpert's version is beautiful. The instrumentation of it is beautiful. And then the more I listen to it, the more I think that the lyric is just so gorgeous. And the way that they can play the instruments on it was just done in a way that I really loved it. I'm a big fan of Burt Bacharach, and I'm a big fan of all of those arrangements. So this song, how do you firstly, when you look at the lyric of it, you know, you see this guy's in love with you, like talking about yourself, and to make it an intimate, I wanted the album to feel intimate. So it was a song that it's so directed to a person. And if you're sitting at home and you're having dinner, or you're in a car ride with someone you care about and you hear this song, there's nothing that you can't just look at that person and smile. So it really became an acting piece for me. And it was through the journey of thinking about the album and then hearing Burt Bacharach and a bunch of different versions of it, that I was like, okay, we need to do it.
May I be so bold as,
Please.
Well, first of all, I want to play this for our listeners, this beautiful rendition by you. May I be so bold as to dedicate this to the memory of my mom?
I would like to dedicate it to her as well, because she raised one heck of a son, and I'm sure she's a pretty wonderful, wonderful lady.
Her name,
it's my honor.
We called her Mickey. Thank you, Robert. That's a beautiful intro. Let's listen to it right now.
You see this guy is in love
with you. Yes, I'm in love. Who looks at you the way I do? When you smile, I can tell we know each other very well. How can I show you? I'm glad I got to know you, 'cause I've heard some talk. They say you think I'm fine. Yes, I'm in love. And what I'd do to make you mine, tell me now, is it so? Don't let me be the last to know. My hands are shaking. Don't let my heart keep breaking, 'cause I need your love. I want your love. Say you're in love with this guy. If not, I'll just die. Tell me now, is it so? Don't let me be the last to know. My hands are shaking. Don't let my heart keep breaking, 'cause you see this guy's in love with you. Yes, I'm in love. Who looks at you the way I do? When you smile, I can tell we know each other very well. How can I show you? I'm glad I got to know you, 'cause I need your love. I want your love. Say you're in love with this guy. If not, I'll just die.
Wow, Robert. First of all, whenever I hear that song, I think of Mom, and for you to do it such beautiful justice. I mean, thank you for your.
Well, now I'm gonna think of her. Now, like, this is the first time that someone had told me a personal story. So whenever I sing it or hear it, I'm definitely gonna be thinking about her. So thank you so much for telling that.
Thank you, and thank you, Mom, Mickey, Mildred. We love you, and thank you, Robert.
Absolutely.
Now listen, I want to go, let's go through the whole list of songs, okay? All
Sure.
11 gems, 11
Okay.
musical journeys by Mr. Robert Bannon. I'll just go down the list and you can give us a little thumbnail, or as long as
Sure.
you like to. Starts off, boom, All of Me. What a great start to the album. What can you say about All of Me?
I did a terrible version of a Frank Sinatra show in Monmouth University before COVID called My Way. It had good intentions, but it was not the greatest piece of theater I've ever seen. But
I think you're being humble. I think you're
no,
cutting
it was Thank you. It was a fun time. And All of Me was sung by another character in the show. And every night I left singing the song. So when it was time for an all American, great American songbook moment and a Sinatra moment, we're from Jersey. And I was like, I wanted something. I had these great horn players. So we did this hope kicking arrangement of it. And Rich DeRosa, who arranges for Lincoln Center and Wynton Marsalis and all of those fancy people, came on to arrange this, and he wrote a whole middle section of it that is original, because we wanted to do a song that has been done 8 billion times, but we wanted to make it have a stamp on its own. So that middle part, when you hear the album, you go, you told me once I was gonna last, but now I know it's just a thing of the past. You know me more than once, and we would be together forever. That whole piece in the middle, he wrote it. He just wrote it and stuck it in the middle of the song for me, just so that we had an original take on it. So there's like 10 musicians on that song. It was a big production.
Yeah, I mean, is that daunting? Like, you think to yourself, All of Me, holy smokes. I mean, this has been covered, but you made it your own.
Yes, ignorance is bliss, I think. I just kind of go through things with blinders. Like, I'm just going to do it and
don't think, right?
Don't think about it. Yes, that's exactly.
Yeah.
So
a beautiful starter to the album too.
Thank you.
And talk about making something your own. Next song, From a Distance. Wow. Beautiful video.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And thanks to everyone who sent those videos. You know, I asked on social media just for people to show me pictures and videos of them loving somebody through COVID from a distance. And people contributed, you know, graduations and birthdays and those when we were doing those drive-by parties for people, and sent me all sorts of things, Zoom phone calls with their family from Africa to the West Coast to everywhere. And we put it together to kind of tell the story. I never intended to do this song. It was never on my list of songs. And then someone said, I don't want to, well, I cover so many songs that are so famous and that people do, but I just think, like, you know, when I hear From a Distance, it's so iconically, it's 93, or when the song came out, it's Bette Midler, it's the Gulf War, Julie Gold wrote the song, it's her song, it's, you know, it's, to me, it's like, it's Bette and Julie's song. And then I thought about it, and someone said, From a Distance, you should sing From a Distance, because we're doing the album From a Distance. And at one point it was going to be called From a Distance, because we did it all from a distance.
Yeah.
And then when we got an arrangement made with the strings that sounds different than the pop the song of the year Grammy winning song that it was, I felt better about singing it, because I don't want to compare myself to Bette Midler, for sure, and I don't want to compare myself to, you know, I wanted to honor the song, and I actually really love singing it, and it's actually become the opening number for the live shows, because I think that it is, it's a moment. I think it's just, you know, especially getting back on stage for the first time after this time, I think it just tells a story that I think is prevalent for now. And Julie Gold has actually, it sounds so snooty and bizarre, but she's been so sweet about it. She heard it, she liked it, she shared it, she has written me, you know, like I think it was the right song at the right time. And I'm grateful that I got to sing it.
You know, Robert, you mentioned that you open up the live show with From a Distance. As this is being premiered, this show, you're actually in LA. We're recording this on a Tuesday, and you, as people are watching this, you're in LA. Tell us about the show in Feinstein's.
I'm doing a show at Feinstein's.
Or Feinstein's?
I don't know. I think Feinstein sounds right. I'm doing the show at Feinstein's. It's in LA. It's in Studio City, and it's just a piano and me. Michael Orland, who's the music director for 16 years with American Idol and has played with so many people, is playing with me. It's a combination of the album and my own story. I did a cabaret show that was a one-man show that I tell my own musical journey. So LA doesn't know me. It's my first show ever there. So I'm kind of combining the two. So you get to know a little bit of the musical theater, you get to know a little bit of the album, and hopefully by the end of the 90 minutes or whatever, you know a little bit more about me. So
I think they're going to know you and love you. I know they're going to know you and love you after the show.
If you're in the West Coast, come say hey. And if you're not in the West Coast, they're live streaming it, and you can live stream it live and watch it from LA, and you can get that information on my website. There you go. Shameless plug.
RobertBannon.com. You know, I should have mentioned that a long time ago. I'm sure.
No, please.
RobertBannon.com. Cool website. Very cool website. Thank you. By the way. So
Thank you. We
yeah.
worked on that over COVID too. COVID gave a lot of time to do a lot of things that I said I was never going to finish.
Yeah, right. I mean, this isn't it great how we as a species can
Yes,
have positive come out of such a
absolutely.
negative
There
thing.
was silver lining for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to go back ever, but it was definitely some time to just be and think. And hopefully we all come out of it a little bit stronger and better than when we started.
Absolutely. Now, a video we're going to watch a little later on in the show, but another fantastic. How Deep is the Ocean?
It was the first song I wanted to do. I know it's a standard that's been around like older than, I don't know, Methuselah here, but it's a song that is Irving Berlin wrote the song, and I heard a version of it by Barbra Streisand. She sung it with her son on her duet album, and it's just so beautiful. And I never thought of the song as a song for a parent and a son, about how much do I love you. Like it's just and like love. And I wanted it to be a duet. It was the first song we had arranged. Ted Firth arranged it, who's a great jazz arranger who's arranged for, I don't know, all the Broadway cabaret people. And I met him first in January before COVID. And we found this like introduction to the song, this prelude to the song that I've never heard before. And we went back and forth about who I wanted to sing with. And when I was at 16, 17, and 18 years old, I worked at the John Harm Center for the Arts in Englewood, which is now the Bergen Performing Arts Center. And I got to see all the shows for free because I sold tickets in the box office. And John Pizzarelli did a concert there. And his opening act was Jane Monheit. She had just put out her first jazz album. And I had followed her career through the years and all of her music because I think her voice is gorgeous. And she was someone I wanted to do the song with. Long story short, through my own putting the record out on putting the album out on LML Music, which is a boutique album that does Broadway and cabaret albums, and they're in California. The owner of that is Lee Lessick, who he ends up representing Jane Monheit and Jim Caruso and Billy Stritch in a show. So when I said to him, I want a duet partner, and he was like, who's your number one choice? I said Jane Monheit, and I didn't think she would do it. And she said yes right away.
Yeah.
She was home. She recorded it from home. She loved the arrangement. It ended up being a small world. Ted Firth went to Manhattan School of Music with her. So it was like a little like family affair. And I got to do it. And she's been so supportive and sweet. She posts it and she tells people about it. And I can't ask for more than that from her. So she's a class act for sure.
I'm going to check that out later on in the show.
Yes.
Super
Thank
video.
you.
I'm looking at my list here. Of course, I Think You Knew Me. We
Yes.
discussed that. Just brilliant.
Thank you.
The Questions medley. Very cool interweaving of. Tell us.
Thank you. As
questions
I
songs.
said before, I read every book I could as a kid on Sam. Like if I was going to the beach on vacation with my parents and kids would like want to go boogie boarding or ride a bike, I sat and read Sammy Davis Jr. biographies.
He is so unique.
Yeah,
He was so unique, but
what an amazing story, and like the most talented person. I mean, he could do everything.
Yeah.
So when I walked into Richmond Park High School as a freshman, and I went to chorus class, everyone that wanted to do a solo, we had to get up and sing it in front of the class. So I got up, and the teacher said, "What are you going to sing?" And I said, "What kind of fool am I?" At 13, I fit in. I fit right in with everyone else.
Oh yeah.
And I have been singing that song forever. So I have always sung the song, and it wasn't until I had been through my own journey that I really understood what the song is trying to say and how deep that lyric is. And then Anthony Newley, who wrote the song, also wrote Who Can I Turn To? And I just felt like, what a merging of two big, like if you, again, building a show, building an album, stuck smack in the middle. It's such a bare arrangement. It's just a trio of musicians. It's done. It's not over the top because, I instantly want to have key changes and sing belt the ending and everything. And Rich DeRosa, who arranged it, was like, if you did this song as a monologue and you ended it with all emotion, a pin could drop. Like, this is the middle of the show. This is the pivotal moment. And I trusted him. And I think vocally it's a really beautiful number in it, and we put the two songs together, and he was the one who was like, they're both questions, so we'll call it the Question medley. So
just again, I hate to overuse this word, but it's another brilliant job by you, Robert. Really.
Thank you. Again, another group of songs where like, who am I to sing these songs? But I love them, so that I just put blinders on and do it.
Well, you know what, Robert? You said, who am I to sing these songs? You're Robert Bannon, white.
Well,
You
thank you.
deserve to sing these songs. Really. I mean,
Thank you.
I'm sure the people that did them originally, they sang them. They became their songs. You deserve to sing these songs, and you deliver. You deliver.
Thank you.
So,
Well, I'm honored to keep singing them and keep them out there. It's important to me.
And we music fans appreciate it, believe me.
Thank you.
Super R&B medley.
We'll talk about songs I
love
thought
Motown.
about maybe
I love
shouldn't
Motown.
Well, I love Motown and I love R&B and I love all of that. Anything that's a Supreme or a Temptation or a Marvin Gaye or a Stevie Wonder or the Four Tops, like that. Martha Reeves and the Vandellas and the Marvelettes and like anything of that vein is something that is so is what I love to listen to. Aretha and we talked about Dion and I love Patty and I love Gladys and like all of that music is the music that I want to listen to. So while everyone's at the gym listening to, I don't know, Cardi B, which there's a place for that. I'm listening to, I love to go back to live recordings of, Aretha at Fillmore and this and that. Like that's the stuff that makes me excited. So I needed something upbeat and fun because otherwise it was an album that it was drive your car up the side of the road. I didn't want it to be a sad album. I wanted something upbeat and fun. So I wanted to put the two songs together. The Temptations, how sweet it is to be How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You is the second song. That Thing You Do is the first.
The way you do the things you do, yeah.
The way you do the things you do. Put the Temptation song and then How Sweet It Is. I mean, a lot of people have covered that song, but Marvin Gaye and then James Taylor and Michael Bublé and everyone has done a version of that song and put them together. We have a lot of horns. It's 6+ minutes long. And my duet partner is Lauren Smith. When I thought about who do I want to sing this song with, who can bring the energy to it that it needs, Lauren is a background singer for a lot of people and is on tour with a ton of people. But he also is an amazing solo artist that puts out his own original music, and his voice is crazy. Like he does things, and even the timing. We did it. Obviously, he's in LA and I'm here, and I did a demo of it, and then he sent back his part, and I listened to it, and I was like, even if you're a student of music, his phrasing, his timing. His voice is a percussive, like he's a drum machine in there. It's the deep, and like he just can roll with it and do all of this crazy stuff. So it was an honor to sing with him, and it's definitely fun. He's coming to the LA show too, so we'll do it for the first time live together.
Wow, fantastic!
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I prefer to listen to music in the car, new music. So I had your CD.
I like it.
I do have a CD player in the car.
That's good.
And as soon as this starts, it's by reflex. It starts snapping your fingers.
Yeah.
It's like
it was really fun to record, and it was really fun to build that song and to hear the horns be put on it. And then when he comes in and does it, and I told the arranger, I said, listen, he's a studio session. If you watch Get Out, the movie Get Out, all of that, the chanting and everything in it is Lauren. And if you hear a bunch of stuff like, so he's like, he reads it and he can go in the studio. And I said, listen, I'm a school teacher who sings. So like, I'm not singing any of the harmony parts. And he just picks up a piece of paper and he can just do it. So it's really a fun number, and I love listening to it.
Perfect blend.
Thank you.
When October goes.
We put an old. Yes.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead. I was going to ask you about that.
We put an old school sound. It sounds like a record.
Yeah.
A couple of reasons. I'll give you the scoop, Mr. Ludwig. We did this song. It's just
Mr. Ludwig.
Mr. Ludwig.
Call me Steve, Robert.
Steve. Okay, Steve. I'm sorry. I was back to you teaching in middle school. Steve, we did the song. It was the first song we recorded. It's just the piano, and I did it. And when we're home, and I have recording equipment now at home that I bought, and I did it with a friend, and I don't know how to use any of this stuff. Like I'm not a Pro Tools or a Logic or all of this new music equipment stuff. So we recorded it, and there's a little bit of a feedback that I had when I first recorded it from the microphone that it was just not a great quality microphone, and I didn't know what I was doing. But there was something about the feedback that made me think it sounded old. Like it sounds, so when I talked to the engineer Gabe in LA, I said to him, like, is there any way that we could play with this where it sounds like it's a record? Because Johnny Mercer wrote the lyrics to When October Goes, and then the song was never created until his widow gave a box of lyrics to Barry Manilow and said, make music out of this. And he made an entire album for Nancy Wilson of Johnny Mercer lyrics that he put music to. And to me, I listened to the song, and even though it came out in the 80s, it is a song that throws back to a certain time. And it's got such a painting of a picture that I guess the lyrics are even interpretive to how you feel. There's no real story. It's just a person emoting this journey. So I felt like, to me, I hear it as a person sitting at a bar, at home, on a stool somewhere, on a porch, on a beach somewhere, thinking about the past. So it made me feel like I wanted to have a different sound to it. And then they did put this kind of record scratching opening, and it plays throughout it. And I hope that it transforms you to a different time and gives a different emotion to the song than it would have just on a song.
Yes. Beautifully done. Just beautifully
Thank you.
done. The Look of Love.
Well, we talked a little. You know, it wasn't a song that I wasn't originally going to do, and then I heard the flute and like this arrangement of it, this doo-doo-doo opening of it, and then I was like, okay, this is funky. And then I had to kind of get into the song to love it, because I didn't want the album to sound like an elevator or airplane music. And I'm not trying to be shady to the songs, but there are certain songs when I think of it, like I'm eating a shrimp cocktail at a wedding cocktail hour. And it's one of those songs that, like, you know, you think of it as, it's like The Girl from Ipanema. Like it's a classic and everyone knows it, but it's like, I didn't want it to become that. So the arrangement of it was fun. But then when I got into singing of the musicality of the song, again, Rebecca, the time changes of it. I can hardly wait to hold you, feel my arms around you. Like then you get into it and you're like, this song is brilliant. Like the journey of the song is brilliant. And then when you really listen to it, it was fun to like sing it in a dim lit studio and just kind of picture singing it to someone you love and just have fun with it and sway with the song. Yeah. So it definitely is a song that I enjoyed. I learned to love.
Beautiful. The moods in this album, Robert. Oh man, just love it. Thank you. Love it. How will I know?
It's like, which one doesn't fit in with this journey of music? How will I know? It's of course Whitney, and it's like the 80s pop MTV fun song. It's hard for me to remember the lyrics, because if I sing it like the pop record, like the original, then you know all the words because you can sing it like it's on the radio. Then when we strip it and do it as this ballad, I'm like, what are the next words? What is this song?
What a good idea.
I love her. Like, I mean, I'm born in 83. So like by the time she got to the height of her career, I was obsessed with her voice. I think she's like one of the most God-given, gorgeous voices of all time. At her height, no one sings like she sang. Yeah. And I wanted to, when I did this one-man show originally, Unfinished Business, I did a medley of songs that I grew up loving. And it was Barry, it was Mandy, and it was a Luther song, Never Too Much. And then it went into this version. I can't sing. I don't have the voice like her, and I wasn't going to do it and try to karaoke version Whitney Houston, because that's never going to go over well. Because you know, there's certain people you shouldn't try to imitate. She's can sing, so, and it's so iconic. So I said, what if we did it as a ballad and we just really made the song as emotional as possible? And I didn't want to do just a piano, because we had done that with When October Goes. So we added a saxophone as kind of the duet partner. So the journey of the song is me, a piano, and a saxophone, and we just took the lyrics of the song and just did it in our own version. So we jazzied it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you jazzied it up just right.
Thank you. I like singing it. It's a fun song.
Now, This Guy's in Love. We already had the pleasure of talking about that.
Yeah,
into it.
Honor.
And What'll I Do? Once Before I Go. Nice closing song.
Well, thank you. You talked about Johnny Mathis, and when I think of What'll I Do, I think of Johnny Mathis. And I mean, you talk about someone who could sing the phone book, and he's a master class. I wanted to do Once Before I Go because Peter Allen who wrote, who the song is written by and is from, is very much in the vein of the entertainers that I kind of like to emulate. He's very dramatic and charismatic and showy, very much like the Manilows and the Sammy Davis Jr.'s. Like, it's very pizzazz, and I love that.
Yeah.
But when I saw The Boy from Oz on Broadway,
Yeah, wasn't that great?
so good, and Hugh
Fantastic.
Jackman was so good, and
So
I
too,
loved the story and all of the songs that he wrote that I didn't know that he had written. But again, my parents loved music and they were fans of his, and I heard the song end the show, and I was like, you talk about a dramatic ending number. Like, this is a number. So when I was in high school, I had sung the song and just wanted to sing it. And then when it came to do the album, I was like, I want to do my own version of it with this big sweeping dramatic ending. I always complained when we were making the album that I was like, when do I get to really sing? Like, I know everything's cool and jazzy, but I want to belt and really like have a big dramatic moment.
Right.
And I thought of this song. So I sent the song to Rich DeRosa, and Rich DeRosa, who arranged it, said to me, like, I'll arrange it for you, but it's a song in a style from a time that is very much, there's not much, I don't know what to do with it to make it your own. Like, he was like, it's a verse, it's a chorus, it's a verse, it's a chorus, it's a bridge, and it's out. And it's written in a time of a formula that was very popular at the time.
Yeah.
So I said to him, well, if we do What'll I Do as a transition to it, with it's just me and some strings on it, and it leads you to like, what will I do without you kind of idea, and what will I do with it when you're not here? And then it goes into Once Before I Go, because before I go and this ends, whatever that is for whomever, I have to tell you how I really feel. And then we make it more of we'll add it a dynamic. I love a medley. I love a mashup of songs. As you can tell, there's like 3 of them on here. So he put them together to juxtaposition each other in the sense of it. Like, the What'll I Do is so bare and nothing. And then Once Before I Go ends up was the most expensive and the most instrumental part. I mean, we have like a bass clarinet on it and an oboe, and I don't know what is on that song. But by the end of it, it's a big, big raucous ending. And I think that the words of that song were really fitting for the time we just experienced, especially when we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And it's kind of the mantra of the whole thing is like, but once before I go, I got to get it done. So that's kind of the whole unfinished business thing. So I thought it was the perfect way to end it.
Everybody,
may
I suggest buy the CD, please, from Amazon. Go to robertbannon.com. I'm going to put this baby right back here.
Do you know, and this is not in a bragging way. This is in a way of like bizarre moment. When this came out, thanks to everybody watching, don't mind the puppies upstairs. Thanks to everybody watching and that bought this copy. We ended up being the #1 new adult contemporary release on Amazon.
Congratulations.
Because people bought it. And the distributor who took a bunch of these copies, they've ordered 2 more shipments of it. So somebody out there is listening to it. And that's really thanks to people like you, Steve, and people out there who have followed me and are excited. I don't have words anymore. It's been a ride.
Amazon, Robert.
#1 on Amazon. It's been, wow.
Well-deserved. Beautiful, beautiful. You know, I forgot to mention this at the beginning, Robert. It's a very special occasion for you to have the album release. You know, I have my near here.
Cheers back.
But I also want you to know I dusted the plastic tree for this.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's such a big moment.
I didn't just put the plastic tree, I dusted it.
Well, I would have moved my camera so you could see the rest of my place, but it's not as clean and dusted as yours is. So we just stick to the brick wall.
I think Mrs. Ludwig has a lot to do with that.
That's good.
That's true. All right, now
I'm ready for you.
You're ready for now?
I'm ready.
Everybody, over 20 appearances on Saturday Night Live. So I am going to pick your brain, brother.
Who does that? Go, yes, I'm ready.
Before we even get, I want to know everything that goes on throughout the day. I am such a fanboy of all things pop culture. First of all, how did you become involved with SNL?
Well, I got an email. I was on Backstage, which is a website that actors use to get jobs. And I have a profile on there. And I was in acting school. I was actually, I went to William Esper Conservatory after, coming back to the business. And I was like, I better learn how to act right. like do it the proper way. So I was in the middle of acting school and I had put up myself on Backstage and I had put myself on different websites to try to get jobs. And I got an email from a casting director that said she worked at NBC Universal and that they were looking for someone for a featured role on Saturday Night Live. And I thought it was spam. I was like, they're going to ask me for my social security number, my bank account, there's $10 million waiting somewhere for me. So I Googled her and it ended up that she was listed on their website as a casting associate. So she sent me her cell phone number and I text her and she said, can you send me a current picture? Because it was going to be for the next day. And she looked at I sent her a picture and she said to me, oh, I'm sorry, we can't use you because we're looking for, it was during the time when the government was not letting people come here from certain countries. TSA wouldn't let you come in from the Middle East or wherever. And they were trying to make a parody sketch of an airport TSA line where everyone that doesn't look like they have blonde hair and blue eyes was denied entry into the TSA line, but I get to go through holding what's like a gun in a garbage bag, and they wanted me to have a shaved head and look scary. And they were like, we need someone with a shaved head. So I said, listen, I've watched this show since I was able to stay up till 11:30 at night. I will go to Supercuts on Lemoyne Avenue in Fort Lee, New Jersey, around the corner from my house, and I will have them shave my head in.
5 minutes from my house.
Steve, why are we having lunch?
We may have been, yes, okay, we will arrange that. That'll happen. When you get back from LA.
Done, deal. So I went to because I'm in Richfield, so we're like, so I went to the Supercuts and shaved my head and they booked me the job. So I went to, it was a pre-tape. It was like one of the parody commercials. So it wasn't on Saturday at 11:30. It was taped on Friday.
Right.
And I got wardrobe from them and I got to do it. And I was so nervous because I didn't know what I was going to be shown as because you don't read the script. Like I met the director and they told me what to do and how to stand and whatever. So I had said to the casting director afterwards, and it's kind of what I say to anyone who asks me about advice in this world, like be a nice person, be professional and be grateful for this. Like don't show up with an attitude. And I wrote a message to the casting director the next day and I said, P.S. screw it. What do I have to lose? Like I have my paycheck. I have my job. I was like, whatever. I said, if there's ever a chance I could do the live show, I would be so honored because I just want to be a fly on the wall. And she was like, yeah, of course you can. And she remembered me because of the shaving of my head.
Yeah.
That season, I think I did 7 or 8 episodes and then I got called throughout. And what is the most amazing part about it is that you can do background work on Saturday Night Live and you could be a person in the stand or a waiter or the cast members always speak. But what has been so amazing to me is that they've bumped me up. If anyone out there knows anything about the way union work on television is, if you are background, you get paid a certain rate. And if you get featured background, gets a certain rate. And then if you get bumped up to principal pay, it's residuals and it's a whole different thing. So to be able to get hired by Saturday Night Live to do principal work, like the Electric Shoes sketch, which is in my reel that you saw earlier, and at work with the choreographer and the wig people and the makeup people and the wardrobe people there, and be on that stage and to be, on television, and it's more than I could have ever imagined. So,
all right,
it's
so
surreal.
So you're hired to appear on Saturday Night Live. All right, the show comes on 11:30 p.m.
Yes.
What time do you get up? Well, what time are you in New York for a show?
Okay, well, when it's the season, there's an email that comes out to people on their list that come out on Tuesdays that ask you for your availability. So firstly, you have to be available Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So and then Thursday, it can be with very little notice. It could be an hour, and they'll say to you, "Are you available Are you available tonight? We're rehearsing a sketch at 7 o'clock." And it could be 5:30, and then you say yes, and then you go in either a Thursday night or a Friday night.
Now, do you drive in?
I drive in. Yes, I drive.
I want to know everything, Robert.
I drive in. I usually park in a garage, but I try to find places where there's fun, street parking, but I then get tickets and that's best. So I park my car, and when you go into 30 Rock, which is obviously where they film it, I don't do pre-tapes anymore. I got snooty. I'm divalicious here. I stopped doing the pre-tape segments because they can go for 14 hours of filming. Like you could do those commercials. You could get called at noon and go through. I stopped one January. I got called to do one that I got called. I had to be there at 7 a.m. and then I got released at 3 a.m. and we were in Times Square in a van. So I was like,
Heavens.
I can't do this anymore. And I can't do that on a Friday and then wake up on Monday and go to work with the kids. Like
Well,
beat me up.
May I suggest something? But if they ever say, Robert, we need you to hang around for 14 hours, just go, no,
No,
no more, no more. That's all.
don't come from your mouth. No love. Well, thank you.
Sure.
That you get the call on Thursday, and when you go in on Thursday, you go to the NBC visitor. There's a center in the middle of 30 Rock that has your name, and you get a badge, and it says Studio 8H, which is you're allowed on the 8th floor, and you show it at the security. And those elevators, if you've ever been to Rockefeller Center, in the middle, there's like guards. They let you in, and they put you on an elevator, and you go up. And on the rehearsal day, it's not super fancy there, like it meaning. You go in, there's a desk, just like if you watch the show 30 Rock with a page,
Right.
and they send you upstairs, and there's a second floor, and all of the cast members' dressing rooms are in a row, and some of them share a dressing room. They all share a bathroom. Like it's not like the lap of luxury. It's very tight.
Now,
And go ahead.
I hope you don't mind. I'm going to kind of
No,
be
please.
rude and interrupt every once in a
Please.
while. Who shares dressing rooms? Do you know?
The newer cast members, if you're like if you're a featured cast member, if you're one of the new people on the show, they share a dressing room. But if you're like the big time, Cecily and Keenan and Kate McKinnon and Adie Bryant and all those, they have their own.
Okay.
But there's one men's room and there's one ladies' room. That's it. Like they share a bathroom. And they have their doors always shut. And I think they go over lines. They eat dinner. They get to order. They order food, like they'll order, and a page will bring them their dinner, even though they have catering there. But like they eat, and like the rehearsal, and they put all of the people that are non-official cast into these 2 rooms, and they have catering. Like you have hummus and vegetables and nuts and chips and soda and fruit platter, and there's nothing super fancy on a rehearsal. And you're usually there about 2 hours. You wait there. And then one of the casting associates comes up and says, "Are you in the sketch Civil War? Are you in the sketch?" You see what sketch you're in when you get signed in at the desk. And then they bring you downstairs to the studio. And I will tell you, it's tiny, even though it's one of the larger film studios. It looks bigger on television. How they move the cameras, because when you're watching the opening, when you see the host walk down the stairs with the band, that's dead center. And the musical guest is off to the side. And then it's almost like shoe boxes of little sets that they build. There's about 6 of them. And a lot of the times Weekend Update and all of these things are on the main stage. Behind the back of it would be where the host does his monologue. They carry this in during the commercial break and set it up. How they do that in 3 minutes, and how the anxiety of live television for me, even for us, and I know I'm jumping ahead and I will go back to it, but like walking on the set, like there's no way for you to walk on where you're not walking through the audience of those people sitting in the front. The cameras are moving, everyone is moving around. Like it is a, and they're saying 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and you have to be in place.
That adrenaline rush must be.
You don't want to be the person that is off frame, falls down, trips on a camera. Like you don't want to be that person. So on the rehearsal, you come down, and the stage manager's name is Chris, and he kind of gives you the instructions and directions. He places where you're going to sit. He tells you, and this is a time where there's no cue cards yet. Everyone's reading a paper copy of the script, and the sketches are long because they're long, much longer than they end up being at 11:30. So at the end of them rehearsing and you sitting there and learning what you have to do, you meet with wardrobe, and sometimes they dress you yourself, especially if it's a period piece or if it's something specific, or if you have to bring your own clothes, which you do get paid more money for. If you bring your own clothes, you get paid more money. They will tell you, bring a look that is, it's outside at a football game and it's autumn, so bring, it's current day, so bring a jacket, bring a hat, bring gloves. Like they'll tell you what, and then they dismiss you. So then the day of, which is you have to be there at 12:15 in the afternoon. Okay. So I usually leave my house They do pay everybody at Saturday Night Live the union rate. If you're union or not, you do get overtime. You do get paid till 1 o'clock, even if you're done at 11:35. If you're in the cold open and you go home when it's over, Saturday Night Live pays you for
Do you
the
ever
time.
hang around, Robert?
Or
do you go home?
I usually go home because
Mhm.
I have seen the show. Because as you'll see throughout the day, I will have seen the show a couple of times. And when you
Been
go
there,
in,
done that.
when you go in at 12:15, you check in again at the desk and you go upstairs. And when there's a lot of people, I've done it a bunch of times and it's been a bunch of different ways. But if there's a lot of people on the show that day, where the 2 dressing rooms that I said that we hang out in during the rehearsal ends up the day of the show being the musical guests dressing room. So they're not available. So a lot of the times where they put the people that are non-essential, cast members is they put them in the set of Seth Meyers. Like they open the Seth Meyers set, which is right next door, and they let everyone spread out. And they put tables out and they put monitors out so you could watch the rehearsals, and they put food and they serve a breakfast and they serve a lunch and snacks. And then during COVID, I worked the show once during COVID. During COVID, they kept a crew of people that were constantly tested and isolated. So I didn't work the show a lot. But when they worked during COVID, they gave like bagged dinners. Like you would go to the cafeteria and everyone would spread out and you would get a dinner. It wasn't like a buffet style or anything like that with craft service. So at 12:15, you go in and you check in, and then they run the show backwards. So if you're in the cold open, if you're in the opening of the show, the live from New York at Saturday night, you sit there from 12:15 till 5:30 without doing anything, but they want you there.
Now, why do they do it backwards?
I know that they do it backwards because they do the musical break and they do the guest monologue during the cast dinner. They try to utilize the time, I guess, as best as possible. So with the guest host and the musical guests, they make them do their stuff that doesn't usually require the whole cast at the dinner break at 6 o'clock. So I think they run the show backwards for that reason.
Okay, makes sense.
The show in its entirety, when you run the rehearsal, that hour and that show that's usually an hour and a half on television from 11:30 to 1 is usually about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Like it's extra long. Like I said, the sketches are extra long. The cold open is the opening is long, especially during the Trump days or when there's a big news event like the debates and stuff that were going on during elections. Like they would have lots of material, so they would try a lot of things. And then when you get called to the stage again, it's a dress rehearsal. So you are dressed in the costume or the clothes. They do have people that help you get changed.
Now, where's your dressing room?
They usually have us hang out all together. It depends. Sometimes I've been given a dressing room. If there's only like 3 or 4 of us on the show, they'll put you in the dressing rooms downstairs that Jimmy Fallon uses. They'll put those dressing rooms.
Okay.
Or if there's 25 or 30 people, they'll put us all in the Seth Meyers studio, and we'll all just like camp out there. And they dress you in, like, they have booths, like quick change booths. I have to say, the most amazing thing to watch on Saturday Night Live to me is there's a lady who has been there for 100 years since the show started, who is the assistant to the host. She is the person who, when the sketch ends live on TV, she literally drags this famous person into a quick trains booth where there's 5 people that are wigs and clothes off and clothes on, and like they are such a well-oiled machine. They are the most amazing group of crew because it's so unique. Doing background work, like if I was on Law and Order and I'm doing 16-hour days where I'm like a person in the stands, it's great. It's fun. People make a living doing it. But
You've done Law and Order?
No.
Okay.
No, but I'm saying, like, I don't normally try to do those because, not that I'm picking on the people who do it. It's just a grueling long day that you may never be seen. You never know when it's going to come out. But I can tell you, I'm on SNL this week at 11:30, and I'm going to be there at 11:30. And when it's over, it's aired and it's done. So it feels like theater. It's like theater. There's a live audience of 100 and something people. Right. So when you get called, you line up, and when it's a sketch before you, you line up in the hall. They call you, and you're so you do the rehearsal, and then you take your break, and they let you take a dinner break, and then there is a full dress rehearsal with a live audience at 8 p.m. and they run the show like they would run it on the air from 8 o'clock until usually 10:15. It's the whole full 2 hour. Every piece of material makes it. And then at 10:15, when that show ends till 11, they go through their notes from Lorne Michaels, who you see wandering around, and he scares me because he's so intimidating and quiet. And I'm like, I don't want to mess with this guy. He's like the boss. He watches the show underneath the bleachers of the audience, like with a monitor with his people around him, and he watches. And they make cuts. So they'll cut some jokes, they'll cut the monologue, they'll cut it down so that it's 90 minutes. Now, if you're in a sketch that gets cut, you go home. They tell you you're free to go home.
That's gotta be heartbreaking.
At 10:30, you go home. It's really heartbreaking if it's a good part, or if it's a part where you're really seen, or if it's a part where they're going to pay you extra money for doing something where you're like, I don't.
Has that happened to you?
Yes. It hasn't happened with me with anything serious, but there definitely have been sketches where we were cut, and it's like, it's great to be paid. I would pay them to be there. It's amazing that they pay you to be there, but it kind of is a long day and you have your hopes up that you're going to be on, and then you get cut,
Yeah.
And then you sit and they come in and they tell you what made it, and there's a new order. They print a new order of the show with the new list. And then when you do the cold open, when you're in the opening, and I got to do all of the Sean Spicer, Melissa McCarthy, when she was at the podium and drove the podium around, I got to be in the White House press corps for all of them. And when you're in the opening, the introduction before, so then the show's about to start. So the pre-show of the show is Michael Che comes out. He does like a set of jokes, and then Keenan sings. Like Keenan sings Blues Brothers covers, like Soul Man, and the band plays, and they get the audience all revved up.
Yeah.
And then they bring you out. So when, say for example, the White House or a correspondence one, or if it's the debate ones where I'm in the audience or whatever, they do a countdown: 2 minutes till air, 1 minute till air, 30 seconds till air, 15 seconds till air. 12 million people are watching, so don't mess this up. 10 seconds till air. And that's when you realize, like it's an institution.
Yeah.
Like it's the whole world. Like there have been moments where it's been on CNN and Good Morning America, and you see me the next day because it's water cooler television, especially during the height of politics and whatever.
Right.
So you do it, and then you walk off, and you're like, "Woo, that was a roller coaster ride." But you know what's funny? 20 something times is an obnoxious amount of time to do it. But what it taught me is that everything, no matter how cool and amazing it is, after a certain time, it becomes a job. Like, not that I don't like it. It's just some of the anxiety goes away. It's like the first day you're teaching, you want to throw up and you're so nervous. But by the time you've taught for 15 years, you're like, I can do this with my eyes closed. It's not like that with Saturday Night Live, but it is to an extent where it's like some of the butterflies and that real fear and anxiety go away because you start to get comfortable with the people and the system. Once you learn how it kind of works, it's so well oiled, it runs so professionally that you feel safe. They kind of have taken a lot of the safeguards in place. And then when you're done, you're more than welcome to stay and watch the show from wherever your dressing room is, or you can leave. I usually leave because I'm exhausted. The cast, they have a lot of rules about, you're not allowed to go to the cast side of the building. You're not allowed to go to hair and makeup. You're not allowed to taste for pictures. You're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to bother them when they're working. But some of the cast members are super sweet, especially Keenan. He's so nice. I've seen him take pictures and be so kind to kids and people on the show and talk to you and treat you like a human when you're on set.
Because I loved him. I'm glad to hear that.
You want to be treated like a person, like you're a professional and you're an actor just like they are, even though they're getting paid more or more featured or a regular on the show. But like just a nod or hey, how are you means a lot, especially to actors who are trying to make it. And some people are great and some people, no one's mean, no one's nasty there. It's just they don't maybe associate with you as much. It's kind of like you're not there. But
I won't ask names.
No, I think it's just they're working and they're trying to make sure that they do it's a lot of pressure on them, especially with a show that's live and you don't get a do-over. So, they're trying, and they read everything's cue cards. There's no teleprompter and,
Okay. Now, Keenan's on camera. How close are the cue cards? 5 feet, 10 feet?
They're directly next to the camera off sight line. So maybe 5 to 10 feet. They're color coded, they're handwritten. They're color coded by character, and there are notes in there for us, like boo or make loud noises or special effect moment or cut to this other person. And it's been and they take a lot of direction. They're the writers and the producers of each sketch has a producer who kind of oversees it. The sets they build, these elaborate sets for these 3-4 minutes that sometimes never get used because the sketch gets cut. It's all of that manpower and work that they put into it. And the hosts have been really various, and their interaction with the actors and stuff have been really interesting to see. Gal Gadot, who's Wonder Woman, was so sweet, and that was a sketch that got cut. It was just 2 of us on set with her, and Keenan and Leslie Jones, and she's gorgeous and 80 feet tall and was so sweet. And Harry Styles I've done 2 sketches with him. I did one where I play fake violin behind Jimmy Fallon and him, and he was so nice. He was so sweet to the kids that were on the set.
Nice.
Really cool, unassuming, low-key guy. Emma Watson and the Jonas Brothers. Like, there have been people, Chance the Rapper, that have been the last one I did was with Dua Lipa, and I don't remember who the host was. It's so funny that it gets to the point I don't remember.
Yeah.
But like, there have been such cool moments. There was
I guess
moment,
there's the other side of the coin too, with some hosts who were just kind of standoffish.
yes, like Scarlett Johansson. I but
Really?
that's
Pray tell. No.
No, she was so nasty to she made us wait. She wouldn't come out of her dressing room, and she what are they gonna do? Not hire me anymore? I've done it 20 something times. It's fine.
Right.
That's it. Do you know who I am? I was on. I know, that's so terrible. The cue card guy went over and said, "Excuse me, Mr. Johansson," and he put his arm up like this and said, "Can you see the cue cards? Are they okay?" And she took his hand and moved it and said, "Don't touch me." And another person, when I was with Sandra Oh and we did Electric Shoes, we worked so much with her that time because we had this whole choreographed number. She had tape. It's so bizarre. It's so Hollywood. It's so ridiculous. She had masking tape on her arms that said, "Please don't touch." And I wish it was a joke, but I mean, like, so like when you see stuff like that, you're like, wow, don't believe the hype. Like it's not that, you're trying to make it in this world as a performer, and just because you've gotten some acclaim or success, don't ever be that person who is so unrelatable. Exactly. And I always see Alec Baldwin in the bathroom, and that's not transition, but he's always, and what amazes me about him when he worked so much doing Trump and whatever, is he has terrible back pain. Like, he walks with a lot in physical pain, and you see him when you pass his dressing room laid out on the couch in pain. And then when the lights come on, you'd never know, because it's just like that showmanship. Like,
good guy,
nice guy. For all of the controversy about him through the years, and fighting with paparazzi and stuff like that, he was always very sweet. He would hold the door for me in the bathroom. I always tried to be real chill and just say, like, "Thank you, how are you?" Like, just, I'm not trying to get into an argument with anyone. So there have been people that have been so nice. And I've met really good friends who have been actors. They're not hosts or anything on the show, obviously, but just good other actors in New York City who are trying to make a living and name for themselves at Saturday Night Live. So you spend 12 hours there. So you have nothing to do but talk and meet the other people that are there. I like the food. They joke about it in my family because I always bring home like the bagged lunch and like the cookies or whatever. And the check comes the following Monday, and it's amazing how they literally, I joined the Screen Actors Guild. I'm equity. I have residual checks. All of that is all thanks to Saturday Night Live. It's all thanks to shaving my head. It's all thanks to trying to take the moment that was presented to me and trying to make it happen. I'm a big advocate of like words have power, and that, the whole mantra of the album and my whole show is that like there's something that you're scared to do. There's something it's to go to the gym, start a diet, write a book about heart surgery, learn a language, go to Europe. Like, something is out there that you want to do, and it's time for you to do it. And for so many years, from 18 when I had that bad audition till today, I thought that no one would ever hire me. No one would want to hear me sing. No one would be interested in what I had to say. And I was so scared. And someone taught me when I was in acting school and said, when you get to the point when you're in a room with all these people that you've looked up to for so many years, like the cast of Saturday Night Live, or the celebrities that are hosting the show, or Broadway people, or hosting, the same with you, hosting and talking to people you admire, you'll find out that they're just people trying to figure it out too. Everyone's in a room saying like, how do we do this? What is going to work? And then when you humanize it, it takes away some of the fear and insecurity you have. Like, what am I doing here? I have a part here to do, and if I just focus on it and do it, then hopefully, it'll be done. So, people watch the reruns, and people send me pictures of me on the show, and even if it's just half my head, or if it's a sketch that I'm really featured in, it's the coolest part-time job in the world.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for
I
sharing.
miss it, and I love being there, and I'm so grateful to be there. And a lot of people have asked me about it, and like newspaper articles and stuff have written about my story or my album. When they write SNL actor, I kind of sometimes go like, oh, I don't, but it's true. I've been there. Yeah,
You're SNL
it's
actor.
true.
Yeah.
So it's been a beyond a joy and pleasure I wish I could tell 12-year-old Robert that one day he'd get to stand there, because he would not believe it. It really is. It is surreal.
Thanks.
And
What a
I look
great-
forward to telling you what's, God willing, in this new season when it comes out in October. If there's ever a moment that I'm there, I will share it on social media and stuff, because I hope that when the world opens again, they hire more people to keep, it's the
Excellent.
coolest thing to do.
Thank you. What a great segment that was. Thanks.
No, thank you for asking, because I think a lot of people are curious to know. They wait outside for hours to get tickets to the show. And it's such like I said, an institution that's a part of pop culture. And the amount of work and effort that they put into it. And there's iconic moments that we all could talk about from the 70s till today, characters and actors that have gotten their start on that show that will live forever. There's sketches and stuff that live forever. So it's really fun to talk about.
Right. Robert, social media. How can we get in touch?
I have a love-hate relationship with social media, Steve. I feel like I think we all do to a certain extent. I love looking at other people's, and sometimes I'm like, oh my, why am I still talking? But if you want to know about me, I try to post a little bit about me personally, as well as promote myself shamelessly. You can go to, besides the website, which is robertbannon.com, Robert M. Bannon on Instagram, because I don't know who they are. Who is that person who took Robert Bannon? I'm going to steal it from them. Robert M. Bannon on Instagram, and on Facebook and TikTok. And
So someone has Robert Bannon?
Yes, with
Bastard.
22 followers.
That
Who the
bastard.
hell are they?
How many followers?
22.
Okay.
Give it to me.
Hey, Robert Bannon, come on, give it up, brother.
Give me back my social. No. And it's the same on Twitter, and I try to post on all of them. So
Robert M. Bannon. Now, when SNL comes back on, do you let us know when, hey, I'm going to be on this Saturday?
I do. I'll
Good.
usually write like, hey, if you're around Saturday 11:30, see someone that's familiar. I'm not allowed to tell you what I do, because they try to keep everything top secret. But
Cool.
But yeah, for sure.
Now, after your LA gig, you're going to be in New York, June 30th.
June 30th, July 30th.
July 30th.
July 30th, we're going to do a New York album release concert at 54 Below, which is where the idea for this album came to be. It will be a full band. It'll be all the people that played on it. So we're going to squeeze 7 or 8 guys up there on stage. And Crystalline Lloyd, who is from Dear Evan, the original cast of Dear Evan Hansen, she's going to come and sing How Deep is the Ocean with me, because Jane Monheit is in Europe. And she'll be my special guest. And the 54 Below is open. It's a limited capacity. So you have to grab a seat if you can. And they limit our time. It's not a full, because there's 2 shows a night. They sanitize in between. So it'll be like a good 70, 75 minutes, but I promise I'm going to jam pack the whole entire album from top to bottom. We're going to do the whole thing. And we'll have a little bit of stories and fun in between. And it's always a good show because it's an intimate space. It's only 130 seats. And I think they're capping at 90. So it will be like me and you, like we're talking right here, and we'll sure have a lot of fun.
I love clubs.
Me too.
The intimate settings. Yeah.
I like the intimate setting. I sung at Birdland last night at the cast party on Monday night. They asked me to come sing, and we did All of Me. And being on that stage, like in that setting where all of those jazz greats played, it's just there's a vibe and an energy in a club that you don't get when you're in a theater or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a cool feeling.
robertbannon.com is where we can get all the info. Okay.
Get your tickets. Yes. Come.
Tickets, info. Yes. Good. Future events. Nice. All right. Now, you and I are both pop culture freaks.
Junkies.
I say that.
Love it.
Junkies. I say that in the best sense.
Same.
So I can't I mean, we have more to talk about, but I'm going to go through a list.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom. You tell me your favorite so-and-so, so-and-so. Okay?
Sure.
All right.
Okay. I'm ready. I'm scared of this part, Steve.
Be afraid. Listen, you have the album. Stop. Okay?
Okay.
You're good. Nothing to be scared of anymore.
No, I'm ready. Okay.
All right. Your favorite drama movie?
My favorite drama movie. I love the movie Goodfellas a lot. I love Goodfellas.
Great choice.
I love Goodfellas. I love Ray Liotta in that movie. I love mob movies. I love A Bronx Tale. I love, I love Casino. I love, I'm an Italian. My mom is Rose Antonia DiMeglio. So my mom's side of the family is pretty Ginzo as they come. And I love a good mob movie, but I love Goodfellas. Like if it's on, I'm stopping to watch it.
Cool. Favorite comedy?
I made it through the first one. Oh, my favorite
I have
comedy.
20 more. No.
I love the funniest, slapstickiest, silliest, dumbest comedies. I love Airplane. I love Naked Gun. I love all Hot Shots Part 2. Like I love the most ridiculous, all those Jerry Zucker crazy like comedies. I think they're so funny. I think they're so hard to do well because they're so outlandish. So if I'm looking for like a day where I'm stressed out and tired, I could put on any of those and just get lost in the zaniness of it all.
Isn't Leslie Nielsen so perfectly cast?
Brilliant.
Yes.
Like you think he makes another person, like we were talking about like the Burt Bacharach songs, like he makes it look like he doesn't know what he's doing. It's hard work to make something
that is an art form. That's an art form.
True,
yeah,
truly.
Absolutely. Favorite adventure movie?
Okay. All right. So I'm a little bit like this is not my greatest don't judge me, Steve. This is not my strong suit.
Robert. I'm not a big adventure movie fan.
And I'm not like I don't love I'm not watching all the Star Wars and all of that. Not my vein of this. But I love my favorite adventure movies. But I do I know they're not the greatest, but the first thing that comes to my head is I'm a history teacher. I was a poli-sci major when I went to college, and I kind of like National Treasure. I like Nick Cage.
Good, cool.
I want to find the Declaration of Independence. I want to go take it and run away. And come on, he gets a bad rep. I know he's broke. I know he's crazy. I know he wears that bad wig and toupee, but I love him in those movies. So I like him.
All right, that's fair.
Whatever.
Good. I am absolutely accepting that.
Okay.
All right. Good. How about favorite horror / sci-fi?
Good question. I just got into this. I never watched scary movies because I'm such a chicken. And then I just started watching Saw. I saw the Saw movie. And then I watched the first one and I was like, firstly, why is Danny Glover in this movie? Because what did they pay him? $8 and a ham sandwich, but he's in it and I loved it. Yeah. Secondly, I was kind of taken aback by the story because there's a twist and there's an ending and it's so effed up and messed up that I was like, I got into it. So then I started watching them and I just saw the one with Chris Rock and they kind of took me on a journey. I liked the story and the writing of it. So I dug it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. Chris Rock, the newest one yet. How was it?
It's good. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is in it. Chris Rock is in it. And he plays an interesting character. I mean, I don't think it's the best of the series, and I think it's a little predictable, but I had fun. And Chris Rock, getting to see Chris Rock be Chris Rock and deliver a monologue and be funny and tell his commentary on society is like a really funny, fun time. So I liked it.
Yeah, good. That's a good series, Saw. You know what you get into if you ever have the time, the Hostel, Hostel.
Okay.
I think there are 3 of them.
I will.
Yeah, checked it out. Talk about dark, gruesome.
Okay.
But I think that's why I love horror so much. Is because it's not, well, hopefully it's not real. When you can escape. You can escape.
Yes, that's the same. It's a good escape.
Yeah. Favorite actor?
Good question. That's a really, really good question.
It's an unfair question too, because there's so many that you probably
I love a lot of actors, but I'm thinking like, who is someone when they put a movie out? Well, okay. not because he's the greatest. Talk about Saturday Night Live, not because he's the greatest actor in terms of like he's not known for being, you know, a Laurence Olivier here, but as a child with my brother Sean, who's 4 years younger than me, our favorite thing in the world was we collected and would go on Amazon when it first started. And DVD players were like a big thing. We bought every Eddie Murphy DVD of everything he ever did. And when I think of who's someone who puts a movie out, even the most terrible Vampire in Brooklyn, Pluto Nash garbage movie, to some of his like great, you know, both like all of these bad movies like Norbit, to like something like where he's nominated for an Oscar like Dreamgirls, or where he is, you know, done you know, Coming to America, or like a classic like Trading Places, 48 Hours, Eddie Murphy. I will watch him do anything. There's something about him that makes me think of my childhood. There's something about him that he's brilliant. I love his writing. I love that he can be characters. I love that he can be serious. I love that he can sing. I love that he just can transform. He's made bad movies, but as a talent and as a person with a career, I just think in terms of comedy, like he is the top of the top for me. And I'm happy to see him start to get his due again after his string of bad movies. Coming to America 2, and then people going to him hosting Saturday Night Live, like going back to like remembering that he's a genius at what he does. So
and good choice. And he did a magnificent job hosting SNL.
He did.
And that was a great show.
All I wanted to do with all of the 20 shows, I just would give them all up to have been on set for that show, and they didn't call me. But that's okay. That's okay. That's all right. It wasn't meant to be. I got to watch it at home, and it was thrilling to watch it.
Favorite actress?
I saw Viola Davis in Fences before Viola Davis was Viola Davis on Broadway with Denzel Washington. And I saw it on Broadway because I had wanted to see, I saw Denzel Washington do Julius Caesar. And then I was studying August Wilson in college, and I wanted to go see Fences. And I didn't know who she was. I knew she had done the movie Doubt. And then I never saw on stage before in my life something as energetic and magnetic and powerful as her performance in that. The movie where she won the Oscar doesn't even compare to what she did on Broadway on that stage. And ever since that moment, I was like, that's the greatest living actress of our time right now. Like, that woman can act the phone book and you would be enthralled. So yeah, I love How to Get Away with Murder, and I love her, like, you know, all of that stuff that she does. But in terms of like a class, I said actress, she is a force. So I'm a fan.
Okay. I love Diane Lane.
Oh my goodness, I like Diane Lane too.
I love all my favorite actress.
She's the movies that Diane Lane has done, that like, she is another one that can do all sorts of things.
I fell in love when I saw her in The Outsiders.
So you've really been following. Yes.
That's when I first, Anyway.
I love that.
Not that anyone asked. Listen, I'm just running it on your time.
No, I like it.
How rude of me.
No, please. I want to know your answers to all these questions too.
Favorite, I'm going to skip ahead. Favorite Broadway musical and Broadway play. You know, some people I think aren't aware that a musical is a musical, and if there's no music, it's a play.
Yeah,
right? Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
Distinguish between the two. Yeah.
That is 100% correct. I think my favorite musical of all time has to be Rent. I remember seeing the original cast at 12 years old. My parents didn't know what the show was about, and it was a time where that was a racy show. And then getting to audition for it and messing it up kind of was a pivotal moment in my life to say, like, yikes, like, I don't want to do this. And then coming back to musical theater and then going out for Rent, doing a regional production. I went in to be Mark, who's the filmmaker character. And I didn't want to be Roger, because Roger is the guy I auditioned for and had to sing one song, Gloria, and I didn't know the words. And I was just like, I don't want to touch it, so I want to be Mark. And then they cast me as Roger. And I had to finally face that 18-year-old kid who gave up everything and sing the songs that I was afraid to sing, that I had messed up at a younger age. And that doing that show and the mantra of No Day But Today, and you know, doing the story of that, and how the myth of Jonathan Larson writing the show and dying on its opening night, and this whole thing about it is it's definitely a feeling like you can't not transform when you work that show and do that show on stage. So it will stay with me. That show stays with me. The message stays with me. And it's definitely the most moving piece of musical that I have seen, for sure.
Okay.
Play. I love plays, and I'm interested in them, and I love seeing a lot of off-Broadway shows because I think a lot of off-Broadway theaters like Playwrights Horizons and the New York Theater Workshop and who else does them? A bunch of and I'm drawing a blank. That they do a lot of new works, and I'm really interested in new works by new people. I'm not picking on people who make every movie into a musical. I think there's a place and space for that, and I love that. But I love people who have original new works that are out there, and I think there's so many writers. As a writer, you want the opportunity to write so that your writing can be seen. So I saw a bunch of shows that really moved me. I saw Slave Play, which is by Jeremy Harris, that got nominated for a Tony. It is brilliant. Like, what a commentary on the world. And then I got to actually invest and help produce The Inheritance, which was on Broadway. And it's a story about LGBT history and about a group that came from England, and it closed because of COVID. But I was happy to spend my little paycheck on helping get those voices to be heard and that story to be told. So it's definitely a really moving, dramatic, modern day take on like a kind of like an Angels on America. Like it's a big undertaking. It's like 7 hours long, but it's a beautiful story. So
Okay, wow. I'm going to throw this from out of left field. When we get back to going to the theater, what play do you want to see first? Do you have it?
Great.
Or musical, play or musical? What do you even thought about it?
I haven't bought a ticket to anything yet because I haven't believed that it was going to happen until it happens. I really am excited to. I got the chance through this pandemic to host my own show, and I got to meet the cast of Mrs. Doubtfire and just trash musicals that are made for movies. But I love the kids in that show, and the 3 kids in that show, Annalise Scarpacci and Avery Sells and Jake Ryan Flynn. We're all going to make their debut on Broadway, and then the opening night was the day COVID shut down Broadway. So I'm so thrilled that the producers of that show kept the original kids, even though they're a year and a half older, and that they'll get the chance to do it. So I'm really looking forward to going to see it. I really want to see them make their chance to be on that stage. So
Nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing that show. I think that's going to be my first one back.
Good. Now, you alluded to it, you're my guest, but you also hosted Quarantine Cocktails and Cabaret, which is now morphed into...
Yes, the Broadway Cast Reunion series.
Tell us about that.
I was going to, so when it ties in with the album, because when I was going to do the album, the guitar player said to me, Lee Lessig owns LML Music, which is a independent label, like I told you before, in California. You should call him. So I called him. He watched my one-man show videotape, and he said, we could put your album out. Go record your album, and then we'll put it out on my label, and we'll distribute it through The Orchard, which is a distribution run by Sony. And I was like, this is great, because I don't know what I'm doing, so let someone help me. And he tours. He's a singer, and he tours with with a bunch of shows. But he does this Simon and Garfunkel Live in Central Park Revisited, where they do the exact set list. Him and Johnny Rogers do the exact set list of that concert, and he does that show around the country. So he was in Florida, and he was doing this show, and then COVID hit. And I was on Facebook, and I saw him on a plane in the scariest days of COVID, like dressed in a bubble, coming back to Los Angeles, where he is. And in the way that I would to anyone that I know, I text him and just said, I hope you're okay. Are you okay? Did you make it home? And he said, I did. And how are you? And we just started texting back and forth. And he said, do you want to FaceTime and have a cocktail over FaceTime? Because we were all in this place of being locked at home. So we FaceTimed. I met him and his partner, and never met him. And we talked that night, and then the next night we talked, and the next night we talked, and we talked for a week in the height of COVID when everything was shut and we were all home. And then after a week, he said, wouldn't it be fun if we hosted a show where we just talked to our friends and whoever we wanted to come on? It was never intended to be a thing. Like, we literally just asked people we knew that were actors or singers or entertainers to come on. We had no opening, we had no graphics, we had nothing. We were originally going to do it on Instagram. We didn't even realize that you can only have 2 people on Instagram. Like, we had no idea what we were doing. And we just did it every single week. And then weirdly, and I'm sure you could relate, weirdly, once I never realized that I was putting together a catalog of interviews and work that I could use to get other guests, that I could use to show that I could host, that I could use. I just was doing it for fun. We had nothing to do. There was nothing to do. And everyone was home. And you know, it was like if there was a person that I knew that ended up being on Broadway, if I wrote them and said, "Do you want to come on?" Like they were sitting home, so they would come on and talk. So we did that show for a year and talk about Miss Dear. We did it every Thursday and talk about Mrs. Doubtfire. When Jake Bryan Flynn was on, his mother said, "I'll ask the rest of the cast to come on," and we reunited the cast. And then people liked that idea. So then we started to ask people like, "Is there anyone else you'd like to talk to?" So when we did Alice Ripley and Emily Skinner did the show Sideshow on Broadway, and they were like, "We'll get the cast to come on." Then we asked the people that were in Aladdin, "Hey, is there anyone you want to talk to?" And they got the rest of the cast of Aladdin to come on. So then we had this idea that people like the reunion because they see people together. So someone, Lee, who books his shows and is a booking agent, heard from a theater in Milwaukee who was like, "We really like the reunions and we're a Broadway tour house that would really love to present to our audiences the chance to talk to Broadway casts because they're yearning for art and they don't have any art."
Yeah.
So we went through all the red tape of doing it right, going to the publicists who went to the producers, and the producers went to the people who are running the shows and then reached out to the cast. And I'm really proud to say we have done 9 Broadway cast reunion series. They've gone out to 22 performing arts centers around the United States.
Wow.
Individual ticket buyers have bought tickets. And the reason it's not for free is because every single artist that you see come on our show is paid. They're all paid a decent chunk of money for an hour of their time. And we have gotten a lot of help from the Broadway booking office, from Disney, from like people have all said yes to us. So we've done 9. We have 3 more that are that we owe people that we've sold. So we're doing Waitress in Chicago in August, and then we'll do the last one in September, and we'll have done our 12, and then we'll see what happens from there because we do the Broadway cast reunions, but when theater tours open, you and I'm speaking for you, but you know, being so close to New York, like Broadway is right there. So it's like, if I want to see something, if you want to see something, we could just go across. It's not as big, it costs a lot of money, but we could go see a show. But for the rest of the country, that love musical theater, their local performing arts center that puts on a Broadway tour, when that show comes in for a week, 2, 3, or 4, that's like a to-do moment. So we want to transition the show into presenting the tour casts. So when you're in the Muni in St. Louis and the tour cast of Hadestown is coming, we want you to know who the cast is before you buy a ticket. So we're going to try to transition that in the fall. But we have had a blast because I never wanted to or thought I would host a show, but I've been pretending to host a show since I'm a kid. You know, there's videos of me like being the commentator at my brother's football games and stuff. Like I've always wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
So I am excited to talk to people, and I'm so curious about artists and what their journey is in their life that it's been such a great moment. So we'll be doing those shows. And if you're a musical theater fan out there, you know, BroadwayCastReunionSeries.com, and you can see what our upcoming shows are, our past shows. And Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails is all of them are on YouTube. There's 52 shows, 52 episodes of it. So
and we can just
you inspire me because you were the first person who I ever saw who took the bull by the horns and put on their own shows. And then you would have these musical acts and musical guests on your show. And I was like, how the heck does Steve find these people? Like, how is he doing this? And so I really appreciate it because it was something that I definitely took notice of and watched through the years.
Great. Now you have the Robert Bannon YouTube channel. So that's where people can, search Robert Bannon, correct, on YouTube?
You sure can. And not only are the music videos up there, but all of the episodes of the Quarantine Show are on there. And then also some of my, SNL sketches are listed on there and stuff like that. So I have fun hosting the shows because, you talking to me about my music, like getting to sit down with musicians like you do. And like I've had the chance to do more. So no shade to Broadway. I love Broadway. I love musical theater and I've been lucky enough to do a lot of it, but I wanted to be in the music business so bad. Like I took music management classes in college. Like I want to know the journey, which is why I love doing this interview with you, because we went through the set list and we talked about the packaging and all of that stuff. So getting to talk to, like artists like, Darlene Love or Gloria Gaynor or like Lisa Fisher, like those are the people like that I would get. We could have a big Broadway star. We had Lea Salonga on, and we had all these big Broadway stars, and they're amazing. But like I want to talk to someone and say, how did I Will Survive happen? What were your thoughts? Or what Darlene Love, like that really gets me excited. And I know as you, so like that's the stuff that I look forward to. And it's looking back on those shows, it's kind of a blur because it's all during COVID where we were just,
Yeah.
it just was circumstance. It just happened. So
Funny, I had interviewed someone years ago who had met Princess Diana. And he said, I bowed and shook her hand. And then he went on. I said, wait, what kind of a handshake did she have? You want to know those things. Like, was it tender? Was it firm? All things like that. I want to know everything.
Well, that's why
the same way.
When we talked about Saturday Night Live and you were like, I want to hear about a day, you asked me about a day, like that's the stuff that I'm so curious to know. That's the stuff that I really want to know. And in the future, if the Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktails ended because Lee and I decided that doing 2 shows was a lot, and I have a day job, and I was doing the album and he was running his own thing, that when the music dies down and when the Broadway Cast Reunion series ends, it is something that I think about a lot in doing it by myself, because there's so many more questions I have that I want answered.
Mm-hmm. I'd love.
And maybe
I'd love
we're
to
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're just crazy because we think that we can just ask and you shall receive. But so much in my life has been just asking somebody, just asking the question. Maybe you get 100 no's, but that 100 no's can lead to one really good yes. And it's been something that I've really learned to just ask, and you never know what will happen.
Yeah, that's super advice. And you don't want to go through life saying, oh shit, I should have done that.
No. And I would literally go through a list of the people I want to talk to. And there was plenty of people, I'm sure plenty of people had said no to you. And some people that you look back and say, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm
talking to this guy. I know. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For real.
So a few minutes ago, you alluded to the fact that some of the guests get paid to be on your show. Mm-hmm. Are you trying to tell me something, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, my address is 25. Yeah. No,
all I can tell you, cash the check right away.
That's not the Quarantine Cabaret and Cocktail show. When we did the live stream show, the reason we paid people for the Broadway Cast Reunion series is because we got paid. The venues paid
a
us.
Wise guy.
But let me tell you, when you have some of the people we've had on just like you, it's like, wow, you're giving me this time for nothing, because I know like but it costs money.
You're also giving them a platform.
Absolutely. So, and all of this stuff, and even I don't know, Steve's is generous, and I don't know if he asks people to, but if you can find a way to support Steve and his show, because I know that this stuff takes a lot of time and energy. He's going to edit this, he's going to post it, he's going to promote it, it's time and energy and equipment and money and things that you put out, and that he does it the way I do it because we love it. And I this will never recoup the money that it was put to make it, and you do it because you just feel like you have to and you love it. So anyway, you could support someone we're putting out their art, a local artist or a local entrepreneur, so to speak, like you are, to put on something like this. Support them, because it means the world to anyone who buys a copy or what is a view of your show. It's why we do it. We can't do it by ourselves.
Absolutely. The check is in the mail, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
That's good.
Now,
it better be out to cash. No.
Money order.
Perfect. Even better.
Yeah. Okay. We're tying it up here, but there's a couple things I want to get to before we say goodbye. And you kind of alluded to it throughout, but not that you have gotten rejections, but do you have advice for anyone? How do you come back from a rejection? Like, how do you go for it again? How do you not get down into that quagmire of self-pity?
I do. It's terrible.
I think we all do.
My New Year's resolution this year, which I hate resolutions because they never come true, was that I wasn't going to care what other people thought. I was going to really try to just be authentically who I was and not worry about what other people say. I have friends, Lauren Smith, for example, who sings the R&B medley with me. He's like, I don't read comments on social media, and I don't look at how many views my YouTube videos get, because it can make me upset. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wish I was like that, because I want to take the good and the bad. I want to know, but it sometimes hurts your feelings. I have been turned down a lot for work. I've been turned down for a lot of musicals that I wanted to do. And agents, a lot of people ask me, do you have representation? Do you have an agent? Do you have a manager? Do you have a booking agent? No, it's like a one-man band. I have a publicist that has helped me with this album named Angela Thomas, who has gotten me all this great press and newspapers and stuff. But I try to just throw a lot of stuff on the wall, and sometimes it sticks and sometimes it doesn't. Agents and managers have hurt my feelings the most because they're very blunt. And I get offended, to be honest, because I'm like, I really think I'm trying to make things happen. Like, I have made, I have all of these episodes of SNL, and I have all this album, and I tour and I do shows. Like, what the hell else do you want? Like, what do you want from me? I just want to be able to book more television work or more theater work. And it's hard because they look at you as a dollar sign and you're worth their percentage, and they want to make sure that their time is going to get them paid. And I understand that. So there's a lot of rejection. Last night at Birdland, being asked to sing there. Oh God, if he ever hears this, but a person there was so not, and a person I'm a real fan of was so snarky about my chart because all of me was my arrangement and it's not the regular arrangement. And I was told, why am I playing this? I know the song. Why am I playing this version? Like, there are, and I left like in my feelings. I even woke up today and texted my brother, like, I just wanted my key and my version. And like, so I deal with rejection all of the time. And I think that what grounds me, and to anyone watching, and my advice is, find your tribe, find your support system, because you can't put yourself out there in such a vulnerable place and do art and create art that comes from you without people who support you and love you no matter what. So there are people who are around me that when I'm having a bad day and I feel like I'm not making progress, or I'm not selling records, or I'm not booking jobs, I can lean on. And it's my brother, it's my parents, it's my friends, it's the people, my other artist friends that support me, because it's a grind, and you don't do it for the acclaim of it. You don't do it for the notoriety. You really do it because you love it, because it's a lot of work. I said last night, it's like, and you know this too, me and Steve and I will get off of this, and then Steve will spend hours editing this, and then he'll spend hours putting it out there, and it's all of the behind the scenes. It's an iceberg. You see this, and the work is all underneath. So like something like this takes hundreds and hundreds of hours of work that you'll never see. And booking one television show or doing one concert is 90 minutes of my life that you see, but it's hours and hours of planning and working on it. So my advice for when you get rejected is, there's nothing, Jay-Z once said, the smartest thing we ever did is we didn't give up. And it's exhausting to get up every day and keep fighting the fight, but the more persistent you are at it, the more things will happen. And if people don't want to hire you, then hire yourself. I hired myself. I wanted this out. And if you don't get hired for a musical or a show that you want to work in, then you just write your own and just put it up. Because, and same with you, Steve, like, you want to host a show, you're not going to ask someone permission to do it. You're going to just do it. So, that's the best advice I gave. I didn't get success, whatever that word is, until I was completely who I was and started to just put out my own stuff. When I tried to be what everything else was, or who I thought other people wanted me to be, I wasn't interesting. No one cared. When I was finally like, screw it, let's just do it. That's when people started to feel interested.
Yeah, and the unfortunate truth is, there are some people who live their lives just to tear other people down.
100%.
F them.
But agreed.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
So how do your fifth grade students think? How do they feel about having such a famous teacher? What school are you, Robert? What school are you in?
I was at Kennedy for 11 years, and then last year they had an opening up more uptown, and now I'm at Horaceman. And it was a weird year to go to a new school there, so it was such an odd transition because it was virtual for most of it, and I didn't know the other students, etc. But they're really cute. They find me, they watch me, they Google me, they look at my YouTube channel, they watch the new videos, they comment about it, they ask me about any famous people that I've met on Saturday Night Live, or do you know anyone that's done this or that. They're really, really sweet and supportive about the whole thing, and they give me courage, because I think I'm so cheesy and corny and old, and they're into it. They think it's neat. They think it's pretty neat. They love it. They give me a lot of support. So whenever I put a video out or something new, the first 100 views of it, I know are my students who have me on alert and they're not following my YouTube page. And I'm like, we'll take all the views we can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll take it.
Absolutely. You know, when I was teaching, the kids, people would ask me, oh, gee, how are kids, you know, I taught 8th grade. Oh my God, what an age. You know, I can't speak for you, but my kids were the least of my worries.
Yeah,
it's all the crap that goes on around
the rest
and everything else.
It's the rest of the job. The kids are the best part. They make me want to go to work and talk to them and be there.
And that's why we do it.
And they teach me more than I could teach them because they've taught me a lot about, you know, being who you are and having, you know, all those eyeballs on you all day has made me a better actor and performer because the whole day is a show and they're watching you. So you get real comfortable with, all right, well, you're watching me here and I don't feel well today, or today I had a bad day last night, or I have a cold, or they're there. You're seeing, they're watching your every move. So it's definitely been a helpful thing for me for sure.
Okay. I thought it would be nice if we close with couple of songs from the album again. You mentioned Lauren Smith. How about if we listen to the R&B medley right now, and we'll come back and talk about it.
Perfect.
Okay.
You got a smile so bright, you know you could have been a candle. I'm holding you so tight, you know you could have been a handle. The way you swept me at my feet, you know you could have been a brew. The way you smell so sweet, you know you could have been some perfume. The way you do the things you do, oh baby. I needed the shelter of someone's arms. There you were. I needed someone who understands my ups and downs. There you were. With sweet love and devotion, deeply touching my emotion. I wanna stop. Thank you, baby. Said I wanna stop. And thank you, baby, baby, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. You were better to me than I've been to myself. For me, there's you and nobody else. Oh, stop. Thank you, baby. Ooh, stop. Thank you, baby. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Oh, oh, yeah, yeah. How sweet it is to be loved by you. Ooh, oh, yeah. It's so sweet, so sweet, so sweet. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet it is to be loved by you. How sweet joy is made. How sweet, how sweet, how sweet, how sweet it is. How can I tell you what is in my heart? How can I measure each and every part? How can I tell you how much I love you? How can I measure just how much
till you knew how deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? How many times a day do I think of you? How many roses are sprinkled with dew? How far would I travel to be where you are? How far is the journey from here to a star? And if I ever lost you, how much would I cry? How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky? And if I ever lost you, how much would I cry? How deep is the ocean? How high is the sky?
How Deep is the Ocean? Before that, Robert, I want to thank you for sending me the video of the R&B medley too.
My pleasure. You're the first people to see it. We did it. We shot it in LA, and I had to send you a little something. So that's Lauren Smith, and that's myself, and that's our little fun journey. And that is a actual footage of me flying to LA that you see in it. And we tried to do something really fun. Flying in COVID is a experience.
I haven't yet, I can imagine.
No, it's a journey.
Yeah,
for sure.
Loved the medley. And please tell us about with Jane, the video, How Deep is the Ocean? I know we talked about it, but
I asked her when she agreed to record it, and I thought it was a big ask, and I thought she was going to ask for money or have to sign paper, all this stuff. I was like, can you video yourself or singing it, like some things that I could use? And she was like, oh yeah, sure. But she is such a pro that the video you watch, I'm, not to ruin the magic, I'm lip syncing to the recording. I'm miming it like you do in a music video.
Yeah.
She just put her camera up and hit record on her computer, and that's her actually doing the song in one take, and that's the take that she used. She just hits record and just plays the track and just sings the song, and we put them together. And there's not as much of a story to tell, obviously, because we were never together, but we threw in some images of New York City, and we tried to juxtaposition again that the LA video, like me and Lauren are in LA. So then we do like kind of a New York feel for the Jane Monheit one, and try to just, do something fun and creative with it. So it's an honor that she would do that for me, and just be like, of course, she's been so supportive and sweet and sharing it. So it's a real honor. She's the Grammy nominated artist that's had a #1 jazz record and stuff. Like, she is definitely both of them add some great alternate voices and some credibility on my album.
Robert, if you weren't good, each of them would have found a polite way to say no. So
Thank you. Well,
I'm
gonna have to remember that on my
you're
days
very
when I'm like,
deserving.
what am I doing? Thank you.
Very, very, and
Ugh.
Robert, I don't know how to thank you. I mean, this has been, it's been the quickest 2 hours plus, I think, that
We
I've
flew.
done.
I could talk to you all day. I
Yeah.
can't wait till we meet at a diner.
Well, I
and
was going to
talk.
say, when we have lunch or dinner, we'll
Yes.
catch up.
Absolutely. That's got to happen because I have more to, I want to hear about your journey through this show and everything that's going on for you. Congratulations
Will
on
do.
everything. You know, you are a talented,
Oh,
you
please.
tell yourself short, a talented guy. I remember getting your book and I remember laughing out loud. Your voice and your humor about it is so intimate, but so funny and entertaining. And that's not an easy thing to do.
Thanks.
So it was an honor. I think you really are so talented at what you do. And thank you for the detail and love you put onto my project. It means a lot to me.
Oh, it was all my extreme pleasure, Robert. And
Thank you.
next album, you're going to come back?
Of course.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
Good.
Of course I am.
But lunch before that.
Done.
All right,
That's a deal.
Robert. Listen,
Thank you so much.
good health, safe travels,
Thank
and we'll
you.
talk again.
Love to Miss Ludwig and everybody. And thank you for everything. I appreciate it. Till next time.
I'll tell Susie. Thanks a lot, Robert.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Classic pop culture. It's classic pop culture. Hosted by Steve, Ludwig, and Ludwig. It's classic pop culture. It's classic pop